Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day, regardless of how awesome the market is. It's been, left, right, up, down. Who knows what's going on half the time, honestly. I was chatting with one of my admins earlier just how terrible the market has been the last month and a half. It's truly abysmal. So don't feel weird or off at all if you're not having a perfect experience. That's what trading is all about, truthfully. But for the most part, it's all about small wins, maximizing your gains, and trying to make sure you secure profits whenever possible. So please do me a favor if you're ever going to do one, and make sure that you always secure profits whenever you can. Try not to get super greedy right now. It's not the market to do that. So let's take a quick look here at Bitcoin backend data first, kind of see what's going on. Before we get started though, please hit that like button, comment below if you get a chance. The likes really add up, and if you're doing it, I really appreciate it. So thank you again to those who have been. And if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you can learn something today. So what we're going to do first, we always take a look at liquidation, see what's going on. Last 7 days, we can see there's a ton of liquidation to the upside still. That hasn't changed too much. But again, that 102.5 upwards of, honestly, about 110, you can see a pretty big chunk there. These are kind of high leverage shorts, followed by mid to low leverage. So either way you look at it, not a ton of liquidation there. I'm actually very curious about the last 24 hours. Let's see what that tells us here. We can see there's more to the upside, but also still to the downside. Honestly, we're kind of right in this little range here. So again, between 97 and 99K, that's kind of where we're stuck. So until we break above or below that, we don't really know what's going on. We do actually have a type of bullish pattern here still performing. Of course, yesterday it had a bullish pattern too, and then we had this crypto conference, and everything just went to hell. So to keep it simple, outside of those fundamental catalysts, this is generally still a favorable sign. But once more, we're not going to reach for straws, right? Because again, truth is we're still in a descending type of trend line, and for the most part, we haven't broken bullish completely. Of course, yesterday we were right on the verge of doing that, and we hit the all reset button like we've done time and time again. Okay, so again, that's just kind of the market that we're in right now. I don't feel like it's going to be like this forever, but it has been very terrible trading conditions. Just to give you any perspective, it hasn't always been like this if you're kind of newer to crypto. Either way you look at it here, let's double check here. When it comes to the monthly, we can recognize about the same scenario here. We got 106 to 115, of course, for the heavy concentrations above. But generally speaking here, once again, 103 is that local high, that local, that the highest amount locally. To the upside and then downside, there is some at about 95K. So 95 to 103, that's kind of the upper and lower range there. When we look at liquidation delta, it's just kind of par for the course. It's kind of squeezing in here. Basically, when you have just as many longs as you do shorts, you're going to probably see a breakout soon. That's generally what it means. If you've ever used Bollinger Bands, they just kind of tend to compress, and then, of course, you'll start to see a breakout in either direction. So at this point, we can't presume it'll go up or down. We just know it's going to move fast when it does. So big surprise, right? That's kind of how crypto has been working. Good news is, though, from a larger standpoint, we do have more volume below us at 93, 94, 96, 98K. So it kind of gives us some support below us here. But again, no need to reach for straws there or just kind of get desperate and try to attach yourself to one thing there. The truth is, we have a lot of neutral / bullish and bearish signs right now. Okay, and oftentimes when that happens, you generally want to avoid trading. So me personally, when I see something like this, I'm going to wait for an established direction before I take a trade with Bitcoin. Thankfully, we did secure some profits on the way down yesterday with our Bitcoin short. If I'm not mistaken, 27% in 20 hours. But truth is, we got a few longs open right now that are, well, one actually we secured profits on our SUI trade, but Solana, Ethereum, and Ondo, they're all close to break even, just under, right? So again, I'm not super concerned with those trades for the moment. I think everything's perfectly fine, but Bitcoin starts making a run lower, we maybe need to calibrate and perhaps even adjust, right? And that's just how the market is right now. You got to learn to kind of close your trades early. So it wouldn't hurt to consider that, of course, but there's been no invalidations yet on any of those trades, so super unconcerned. We do have a bullish type of scenario here, a couple of them, of course, again. And I'm just going to give you some patterns here to kind of think about and look at. I'm not by any stretch telling you that we're just going to go straight up because of these things. We still need to break a lot of trend lines first, but we do have, this is a pretty nice little pattern here. We saw this happen when Bitcoin was stuck in the 60 to 70K range, and then it took off towards 100,000. Okay, so again, it's a descending, broadening type of wedge pattern, and generally speaking, those do break to the upside based on the fact that we have such large candle wicks to the downside that they're not truly closing very, very low. So in turn, again, if you were to kind of think about this, it's a pretty good, healthy situation, right? Because again, it's working itself into a flaggish type of descending broadening wedge pattern, and ultimately those break to the upside, right? Again, that's just a statistic is all. Doesn't mean it's going to happen today or tomorrow. It just tells us that we get back up over 103, 104,000, then that might be a good cause for consideration for a long to that 110 to 115 for that upper liquidation range. If we look here though, RSI is under 50. That's kind of standard right now for the current situation. We've known this for a little while. The daily time frame is not super bullish at all. We're tentatively below the 50-day SMA. It's kind of hard to see, but I can see it right there. It's about 98.5. And of course, we're below the 22 as well. So for the most part, there's not a lot of confirming factors on the daily time frame that tell us it's a great consideration to take along. From the 4-hour time frame, it's also very similar here. We're right here testing our volume-weighted moving average. We can also see we're right there at the 20-day SMA, below other moving averages for the most part. So this current trend, this gold, descending trend line, is still reaffirming itself, letting us know that we haven't broken bullish yet. Okay. So again, we were trending towards that yesterday. Crypto event occurred, and of course, we dropped by 5% in about 12 hours, and that hit the old reset button on a lot of altcoins. But good news is, folks, altcoins are actually maintaining fairly well. They're not dumping per se. They're kind of hanging out. So the good news is they're moving concurrent with Bitcoin. They're not just aggressively selling off with Bitcoin. So there is some kind of bottoming out that we're starting to see, especially with Bitcoin dominance being so high. If this can continue, well, we'll talk about that another time, but generally speaking, yeah, that's a good reflection of what's going on in the market, where Bitcoin's receiving a lot of inflow. Even though it is selling off, most altcoins have sold off pretty heavy up until now, but it's starting to plateau, which is good. We like to see that kind of a potential shift in momentum. All right. 4-hour time frame, just to clarify, we're under 50 on the RSI here. We closed below there after that crypto event from yesterday, and we can see here that stochastic's pulling back, price action is going sideways, and of course we got the money flow index is fairly high. So overall, not good, not bad. There's a lot of indifferent situations here, but I would say for the most part, still slightly bearish based on the overall sentiment there, with being below most moving averages, below the trend line. And yes, even though we have a type of flaggish pattern here, there's no guarantee this is going to break. In fact, let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. I'll post a playout chart here shortly on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And as a matter of fact, if you're watching this video, it's already been uploaded, so be sure to check that out. It looks a little something like that over here on my Twitter, Telegram, or Discord, whatever works best for you. I do recommend Discord just because it's a very great and easier way to communicate with other people. Obviously, Twitter's nice to kind of get those feeds, but for the most part, Discord's probably the best option if you want to interact with our community. Last but not least, here in the hourly, we can recognize here as well that we're in the cloud, which again is just basically a support range. So that 97 to 98K range is that tentative support for us. So basically just implying that not an ideal situation to take a trade, because when you're in the cloud, you're in that transition, and generally speaking, you want to wait for the breakout either up or down first before you take a trade. Now, even though lag and span is free and clear of the price action to the downside, that's generally a bearish sign. The conversion line and baseline are getting close to each other, so this kind of lets me know that we have a potential shift in momentum. But if you're, if you're reaching for straws, like I've said a few times in this video, then you'll take a long at this point, right? But the benefit here, I would recommend waiting if you're going to, is to wait for the price action to get closer to 100,000 or 99,000 before taking a long. Therefore, we'd have a little more confirmation that this descending trend line is no longer establishing lower lows. We'd tentatively be establishing higher lows and potentially higher highs. So again, that's what we want to look for in trend reversals. It's too early to tell right now. So what do you do when it's when there's a lot of indecision and perhaps not a good situation to trade? Do you force a trade? Absolutely not. You wait on the sidelines, just kind of let things cool down, take a trade when you're ready. Okay. Me personally, I'm still not looking for a long on Bitcoin until we close soundly above that $99,000 to $100,000 range, preferably 100,000 or higher. And I want to break this descending trend line too. So that'll probably put us about 24 to 48 hours from now at 100,000 plus, if that even happens. Okay, that's what I'm going to be looking for. In the meantime, we got our short open. We've taken some profits on that, and it's all good, right? Anyways, that's kind of how it goes. Sometimes you got to hedge your shorts with your longs and vice versa in this really crazy nonsensical market, and that's kind of just what you got to do. Anyways, I'll look forward to working with you in the future if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCash.tech is a site. We do actually have a lot of members coming over. To all my new community members, make sure you read through my trade alerts. This just kind of gives you a heads up on why I'm planning to take a trade that that I'm sending. These are basically pre-signals. And then of course, make sure you read through my signals guide so you understand kind of how they're structured, because some folks will get into my community, just go balls to the wall with trades, and I have a certain way of doing things, and it doesn't work for everyone's risk tolerance, and that's okay. But again, you have to kind of keep your keep your targets kind of lofty but also tight. In other words, you're going to get stopped out quickly if you're using high leverage, and we generally lean more towards low leverage and position size. Okay, slow and steady wins the race, folks. It's a terrible market out there. Don't let anyone fool you. All right, have yourself a great rest day. We look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.